Your brain has a plan for hard conversations, and your emotions have a different plan. Today, we're going to figure out how to get them on the same team.
Welcome to Unafraid Living, a podcast where you will learn to fear less and live more. I'm Kim, and I'm here to ask questions that you might be thinking and maybe getting some clarity. I'm joined by Suzette, a certified brain health professional. Let's call her Coach Suzette.
Yes, I do like that better, Coach Suzette, rather than brain health professional, because I am a life coach and my passion is helping you embrace the life that you actually really want to live. I'll show you how to quiet the fear so that you can face each day with confidence and resilience. Hey friends, Suzette here, your brain health professional. If fear or anxiety has been ruining your life lately, our Unafraid course was built for you. The Unafraid course helps you retrain your brain to move out of fear and into resilience, one small shift at a time with proven, practical, and simple tools. Affordable options let you work at your own pace or join me in our private community, all for less than most therapy sessions. No more excuses. Be your own advocate and sign up for the course at unafraidcourse.com to start rewiring your brain today.
If you have been listening to our Say It Unafraid series about communication, you have already some great tools. But sometimes, at least for me, my emotions get in the way. Thank you, emotions. It doesn't seem to matter how much you know. Once you're overwhelmed with that emotion, it's hard to continue the conversation. 1 minute, I'm fine. I'm holding my own. And the next minute, I'm shutting down. Actually, I'm probably crying. If I know me, I'm getting defensive. I try not to raise my voice. Sometimes that happens. Or say things that I think I'm going to regret or I know I'm going to regret. And the frustrating part about all of this is that I know better.
You do know better because you're smart, you're self-aware, and you care about people, but it happens to the best of us. I know what you mean. Like in the moment, it's that your emotions are all of a sudden taking over and your brain just is out there left in the dust. Sorry about that, Kim. I didn't mean your brain. I mean, like our brain is left in the dust.
Welcome back to the Unafraid Living Podcast and our Say It Unafraid series. We hope you've been enjoying it. I know I've been learning a lot. I've seen some of the comments that we're getting that they are learning a lot too. So let us know what you think anywhere you want to let us know. We are lucky though, because today Suzette is going to help us understand what's actually happening in our brain, in our body, and particularly in our hearts, our emotions during emotional conversations, and how we can learn how to stay calm enough to communicate how we really want to. And Suzette, I think almost everyone struggles with this. I hope so, because I know I do.
Oh yeah, I think everyone does. And I think it helps people to know that it's not just about being emotional or being dramatic. There's actually a lot happening in the brain and our nervous system during these stressful conversations.
Which that's why conversations can change so quickly.
Exactly. 1 minute your body is calm and the next minute somebody is defensive. So it's your brain there, maybe it's triggered by emotions, but you're shutting down, you're interrupting. Oh, that just makes me crazy. It makes me crazy. I do it too, but it drives me crazy because people can't finish their thought and we're jumping to conclusions.
Yes.
We're crying, we're walking away, we're raising our voice, saying things like you said that you're going to regret later.
That's right. Or all of it.
Yeah. And most people don't realize that their emotions have taken over.
Oh, I realize it. I'll tell you that much. What is actually happening in the brain, though, when all these emotions are taken over?
Most of us know that a basic human need is safety. So the brain is constantly scanning for safety. And after the conversation starts to feel a little bit emotionally threatening, like with maybe some criticism or rejection, a little bit of conflict in there, you're feeling disappointed or misunderstood, the brain can move into that protection or defensive mode so quickly. It happens in the amygdala. It becomes highly activated. And so you start having all these thoughts that you weren't having before. You were having rational, good, easy, flowing conversation. And then that kicks in and you're off.
Oh, yes, that famous amygdala.
The little alarm system in the brain. And when that alarm system gets loud, the thinking part of the brain becomes less effective, and the prefrontal cortex gets chaotic.
Which explains why even smart people like me suddenly say something that makes no sense, or to use the word stupid.
Well, right. A lot of times, all of a sudden, you don't have good thinking skills. So you suddenly say things maybe you don't fully mean. Mm-hmm. Maybe you mean part of it, but you don't mean how it's coming out. You're feeling overwhelmed, and emotionally, you might not even be able to find the words at all.
Oh, I've been there, done that.
So the brain is prioritizing protection before connection.
Okay, so this is like the fight or flight thing that I've been hearing about.
Yeah. Actually, there's several common nervous system responses people experience in communication. Some people go into fight very quickly, so they get louder and sharper and more reactive. Some people take flight, like literally they'll get up and walk away.
Yeah.
Some people, I think this is more common, they just remove themselves emotionally. So suddenly they're shutting down, they stop responding, and they might talk in circles or change the subject or suddenly become a comedian. They simply disengage from the conversation. And then there's freeze. Their brain just goes blank. Does that ever happen?
Yes.
And that's when you're not thinking or not thinking clearly. And oftentimes, usually it is caused by fear, and it makes you conversationally paralyzed. Some people fawn. I think a lot of people know the three terms fight, flight, or freeze. Mm-hmm. Fawn is kind of a newer term. And what that means is they're the people pleasers. They're the ones who are going to try to make it all better. So they're quickly agreeing all of a sudden. They're apologizing. They're doing all the people pleaser things to try to smooth over everything that keeps the peace.
Wow. I'm pretty sure I can identify that in many people that I know.
Yes, I can identify all of those things at some points in conversation.
Within the same person?
I was really meaning me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think that I can relate. I do all of those things sometimes with certain people. But I definitely have my one thing that I go to most often.
Gotcha.
So we'll talk about that later. What we do, most people lean towards one or two patterns more naturally. So it's their go-to, especially under stress.
Hey, before we move on, Suzette, people are always asking us, where do I even start with all of this?
Good question. Knowing where fear is coming from, though, and how it's affecting you is a great place to start. That's why we created the Fear Audit. It's a free worksheet with real questions that help you see your patterns. Plus, it's got 3 practical shifts, tools that you can use right away. So it's not just awareness. You walk away with something that you can use right now.
Yes, so you can grab it. The link is everywhere, but if you want to go to it right now, it's at unafraidliving.com/free-fear-audit. It's free, it's quick, and it might change how you think about what's been holding you back.
And while you're at it, if this podcast has been helpful to you, please leave us a review. It really does make a difference. It helps people who need it find it.
It's the easiest way to support what we're trying to do here. Okay, let's get back to it. So when people say they feel emotionally flooded, what does that actually mean?
Well, actually, Kim, you were talking about being emotionally flooded at the very beginning of the episode. Yeah. I think you said something like, what did you say? It's game. Did you say that? Did you say like it's game over or something like that earlier on?
I talk about how I cry.
You cry? Yes, yes.
I'm a crier.
Maybe in my head, you said it's game over because I'm crying.
Yes.
Well, when you're crying, that's emotionally, you are emotionally flooded. That's what it means to be emotionally flooded. Your emotions take over and you're not thinking clearly.
Is that what happens when I'm watching a commercial and I'm crying?
Oh, great question. No, I think that's a different thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am flooded with emotions.
Well, that's true. I guess you could say you're flooded with emotions, but you're not in a conversation. Typically, when we're talking about being emotionally flooded, it's because it is causing an issue within the relationship.
Gotcha. That's a unique distinction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you can be emotionally flooded for lots of other reasons, but typically we're only talking about it when it has to do with a relationship.
Okay.
So it's when your nervous system is overwhelmed and your body is totally flooded with the stress chemicals. Your heart rate rises, your muscles become tense, your breathing changes, your thinking gets cloudy. And during that moment, communication quality drops dramatically.
But some people keep talking when they really shouldn't.
Oh, yeah, that is for sure.
Because they're just talkers, or because they're feeling pressure to resolve it right now or something.
Or they just want to protect themselves. They think by continuing to talk, they're guarding, they're putting up some kind of barrier to protect themselves. This is called dysregulation. So we're not communicating to connect anymore. We're just communicating to protect ourselves.
So how do we recognize this when we're in a spiral?
It's a really important question to ask that to ourselves, but here's some signs. Maybe we get a tight chest or a clenched jaw. Talking faster is a good clue. Interrupting, like I mentioned that before, that's a huge one. Feeling shaky, feeling hot, suddenly wanting to escape, or even just feeling emotionally numb. And one of the biggest clues is urgency. So when you suddenly have that feeling that I need to say this right now, this is really, really important, I've got to say this. And a lot of times we don't feel peace about it, but we know we have to say it. That is when our nervous system is activated and we are feeling pretty dysregulated. And we think by saying this thing, it's going to like make us come back into regulation. But when we're in that urgent mode, it almost always does the opposite of what we think.
I have lived this before. I totally can see what you're saying. I think some people worry about staying calm and that it means that they're being passive or something.
Right. That's very, very common. People think that by having a little bit more aggressiveness or talking a little faster or being urgent and going out and saying those things, that's power. And the truth is that we can think better and we can communicate better. We can help someone else to hear our hearts, and we can hear other people's hearts better when we are in a calm, regulated state. Calm isn't weakness. It's actually a sign of emotional strength and self-control. It doesn't mean we're emotionless. I have been accused of that before because, at times I am just making myself stay in a very, maybe it looks like a passive state, but the truth is I'm just not being reactive. And so they think that I'm emotionless or I don't care, but it actually can mean that you're regulated enough to communicate intentionally instead of reactively.
And it might feel very different for some people.
It is different for some people. Some people grew up in loud, reactive households, or maybe everyone shut down. Nobody ever talked about anything. Sarcasm, blame, just all of that can be emotionally unpredictable. So calm can actually feel really unfamiliar at first.
What do we actually do in the moment when we feel ourselves getting worked up and starting to feel like it's urgent?
Well, we need to understand that when emotions rise, we tend to leave the present moment. Like we're not even there anymore emotionally. We stop listening carefully. We start reacting with fear, assumptions, memories, insecurities, or the story we're suddenly telling ourselves. All wrong. And that story is laden with all kinds of lies. Suddenly we're feeling rejected, disrespected, controlled, unimportant, misunderstood, all the things. And once those start spiraling, the nervous system responds as though we're under attack.
So before we communicate well again, we almost have to come back to reality.
Yes, we do. We have to come back to reality. And that's what grounding really is. Emotionally grounding yourself means you're reconnecting to the present moment instead of getting swept away by the emotional chaos or fearful thinking. And because when we're emotionally flooded, we stop interpreting things clearly, it's really important.
So in the moment when we feel things getting worked up and getting urgent,
okay,
we're supposed to ground?
Yes, that's right. So we slow the body down. Can drop our shoulders and relax, unclench the jaw, slow the breathing. Notice things. Notice your feet on the floor. Notice the chair underneath you. Bringing yourself back into the room instead of staying trapped in your head.
That sounds pretty simple, but I can see how powerful it can be.
Yeah, it is powerful because the body and the brain are constantly communicating with each other. And when we calm the body, we help to signal safety to the brain. So sometimes I encourage people just to pause and ask themselves, what story am I telling myself right now? What's making my emotions rise? Because when emotions rise, our thoughts can become extreme.
Yeah, like in the moment and you're like, oh, this person doesn't care about me. They hate me or they don't like me. I know that for me, that's things that I think.
Oh, yeah. Yes. It's like they don't ever listen to me. They're trying to control me. I'm being rejected right now. This isn't safe. This relationship is doomed. It's all part of that emotional reaction in the moment.
Yeah, we kind of laugh, but it's the truth. This is what happens.
And when we let ourselves have that, spiral and continue in it, the more we think it, the more we think it, right?
Right.
And so we're not just necessarily containing it to this conversation. It bleeds out into the rest of our life. And so these lies stay with us if we're constantly repeating them.
Isn't that neuroplasticity right there?
Yeah, in the wrong direction.
Yes, exactly.
But you're right.
So we have to calm both the body and the thoughts.
Yes, and that's where heart-focused breathing comes in. It's really helpful because it helps to regulate the nervous system and the heart system, the emotional system, and it calms the brain's alarm response, the amygdala. Even slowing your breathing just a little bit, just slightly, can change the direction of a conversation. Isn't that crazy?
I think that's so cool.
It is. And sometimes the healthiest thing that you can say is, I want to continue this conversation, but I need a moment first. Or you might even say, I just need a moment to breathe.
Right. So you're not like avoiding the conversation. You're just taking a pause, like we've talked about many times.
Exactly. A healthy pause is very different from shutting down or stonewalling. The goal is to return calm enough to communicate well.
I think this is where tone kind of comes into, and it's pretty important and would matter in a conversation, especially with such high emotions.
Oh, yeah. People often react to tone before they even process the words. Like that's how babies learn, right?
Right.
You can say something truthful, but if your tone feels harsh or dismissive, defensive or contemptuous, the other person's nervous system may immediately move into protection mode and your words may never even register with them.
Okay. So what you're saying is calm creates safety?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
All right. I got
it. Regulated people help regulate relationships. Oh. And emotionally safe communication changes everything.
Okay. Well, on that note, give us a practice point for this week.
This week, just start paying attention to your body during conversations, not just your words, your body. So notice when you tense up, or when you speed up, when you feel urgency. And before responding during a stressful moment, pause long enough to take one slow breath and ask yourself, do I want to react or do I want to communicate well?
I think, again, this goes back to the pause. We don't have to necessarily pivot, but pausing and giving yourself that little bit of time to register what's going on and say, oh, I need to take a breath, or I need to step away for a minute, or whatever it ends up being for you. That pause is right there in the forefront.
You know what's interesting, Kim, is that you're right. You concentrate on the pause because the pivot happens. It just happens automatically. We just shift.
Yeah, I guess that would be a pivot or a shift is what we're looking for. Okay, so what's a takeaway from today?
Well, you can't survive when you're in that defensive or survival mode. Calm communication is a skill that your brain does learn with practice. And when we learn to regulate ourselves instead of reacting impulsively, we create safer and healthier and more honest conversation. That's how we learn to say it unafraid. We just don't let the emotions get the best of us.
Thank you again for joining us. We hope you're walking away with something that helps you feel a little calmer, a little more confident, and a lot more free.
And if you're ready to go beyond just listening and start living unafraid, come on over to the Unafraid course. You'll find all the details at unafraidcourse.com.
Follow us wherever you listen to podcasts and on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. And be sure to check out the show notes for any links.